Thank you, Mr. Chair. First, I want to thank both our witnesses for being here, and thank you so much for your service. And please, my comments are not really directed at you. And I have a lot of respect for what USAID does and the development that the State Department takes part in. So first, I wanted to start with, sometimes I think I'm just living totally in a bad episode of Saturday Night Live. I happen to represent beautiful Palm Beach, where Mar-a-Lago sits, and very interesting. Donald Trump asked permission to hire 78 foreign workers at Mar-a-Lago for the season. Doesn't he think there were American workers who could take those jobs? Oh, well, I thought that was very interesting. Anyway, on to another point, which I think is actually much more important, which is the fact that we are witnessing what I call a Trump-induced crisis at our Mexican border. We've heard many people comment on this, but I'm going to say it again, because until these families are united, I am not going to shut up about this. Mothers and fathers who are seeking refuge from extreme danger and persecution, they finally think they come for refuge, and what do? They get to our border, and this government steals their children right out of their arms. And you know what's happening now? Our government is so incompetent and so uncaring that they can't even match up most of these children. This is going to be a dark stain on this country with what's going on here. I went to the border a couple weeks ago with some other members, and look, I am the granddaughter of an immigrant. Probably everybody here is either the granddaughter or the grandson of an immigrant, right? What I saw was heartbreaking. And I'm just going to talk about meeting with the mothers who, listening to their excruciating crying because their children were taken from them. They hadn't seen them, didn't know where they were. One woman told me that she was told she was going to go to court for 48 hours, and then it's a month later, and she didn't even know where her child was. The other day, I had a little round table at the Guatemala Center in my where I live, and they do wonderful work there. And I heard from a young woman who told me that her cousin came over fleeing from gangs and violence in Guatemala, got to the border with a 10-year-old son. The 10-year-old son is now in Homestead in Florida, and guess where the mother is? She was deported back to Guatemala. Now, just got a little, it's a good thing I get these, you get these little alerts from your phone. This is what's happening now. Listen to this one. One mother had waited 4 months to wrap around her arms, 4 months to wrap her arms around her little boy. Another had waited 3 months to see her little girl again. And when it finally happened, Tuesday in Phoenix, the mothers were met with cries of rejection from their children. The children didn't even recognize the mothers. They were screaming for their caseworkers. And what I heard yesterday at this round table from child professionals, psychologists, was the trauma that these children, toxic trauma that these children are experiencing. Well, we can see that right now. Could you imagine? They don't even know who their parents are. So here's what I want to say. I mean, a lot of the questions I was going to ask have been asked and answered. I want to thank you for that. But I think there's no question, and I want to say this: building a wall is not going to solve the problem. Separating children inhumanely from their parents is not going to solve this problem. We have got to get into these countries and do the work. And I just saw that there's a proposal now to cut $180 million in funding for Central America. To me, that is just dumb. All right, that is really dumb. I don't have to ask you what you think about it. You're good people. I'm not going to force you to answer that. But, Mr. Chair, I just want to conclude by saying that that we have to step up our efforts to try to get to the root causes, and we need immigration reform that Congress is responsible for, and we should do that as soon as we can. And thank you for patiently being here with us today.
Thank you, Congresswoman Frankel.